Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. So this is going to be quite a large build, and it's actually the first build that I did when I got the new Jungle Adventure game pack. So that was a couple of days ago now, and I had a lot of fun playing around with the new items. Now I had already watched a few reviews from people like Sim Supply and Deligracy, so I was aware of the items that we were getting, but it's always completely different when you get them yourself and you get to play around and really start furnishing with the items yourself. So I decided to go for something that was completely inspired by the pack, and it's basically a Spanish villa, but I built it specifically in mind for Sims who I decided were going to be natives to the new world that we got, which is Selvador. I know a lot of people have been focusing more on the explorer side. I'm definitely really excited to do that, but I wanted to do that with the couple of locals in the family. Now, I've made this for quite a large family. There are 6 Sims living here at the moment. They're actually stood in the corner there. I don't know if you saw them just there. But I will talk about them a little bit more as the build goes on, just because they definitely inspired the way I furnished the house. The story I decided was behind the reason for different parts of the house looking a little bit different, some more modern, some more old, and yeah, that really helped me bring the house to life. So here's an inspiration picture that I used. There's only a couple pictures that I did actually go for, but I definitely wanted this center courtyard kind of aspect of the house, and I kind of made it directly visible from the main door. So when you come straight through, there is a kind of indoor area, and then you go straight through the arch and you're in that courtyard, and it has that beautiful fountain that I'm going to add. And yeah, that's the kind of look I wanted to go for. Now, as soon as I saw the items in the pack, I was thinking, okay, this is Hispanic vibes, this is Latin American vibes, even some Middle Eastern kind of aspects in there. I felt like the Sims team drew inspiration from a lot of different cultures and aspects of different cultures, and I love that. I love that it was not one specific thing like they used to do in Sims 3. And that gives a lot more freedom both to the team who are making the items to kind of explore different aspects and put them together, and it also gives more freedom to us as builders to mix and match the items that we already have with the new items that we've been given. So instead of them sticking to one specific theme, they are actually very diverse items, and I was surprised by how well, for example, some of the swatches can work in other completely different builds, so be it more modern builds, more contemporary, or just not even themed to this sort of Latin vibe at all. So I thought that was really clever, and I definitely was impressed by that. So here I'm just showing you some of the foliage. I wanted to keep in some of the landscaping just to show you the beautiful plants that are in this pack. But otherwise I have had to cut out a lot of footage on this video just because it was about a 6-hour build, so I did have to skip a lot of the building. Apologies for that, but I thought maybe you'd prefer me to show you the finishing of the rooms, so that's what I've done. I've skipped ahead to most of them. There are some rooms that I have filmed off camera, but there's screenshots of them, so you will still see them. So my sort of story behind the house, which I decided to call Casa del Salvador, is actually based around the family that I built for it. So the family is the Salvador family, and my idea was that their name, family name, originates from their past generations of their family originating from Selvadorada, and maybe they founded that place or were the first settlers there. So this is a very sort of old, proud family, and they've now got this beautiful big house that their 3 generations live in. And this part of the house I decided would have been the oldest, and eventually more was built onto it. There's some older parts, there's some definitely more decrepit parts, and the walls are kind of cracked here and there, and there are some then more modern parts where maybe they've convinced the grandparents, you know, come on, you need a new kitchen now, let's get some new cabinets in here. So it's very all over the place. It's got a lot of character. There's a lot of reasons behind, like, for example, those 2 fridges. One of them is definitely more old and worn, and one of them is new, and they've convinced them to buy a new one. And I don't know if they're probably very stubborn grandparents, and they've kind of made do with the old sink or the old stove that they've had for 20 years, and they're fine because it works, and they don't want to replace it. And that's the kind of idea that went into a lot of the furnishing. So the kitchen being the heart of the house in this particular home specifically as well, I wanted it to have more of a renovated look. So I have gone for these not so modern counters, but still more modern than I think they would have been. The ones that came with the pack were just a little bit too modern, so I went with this beautiful rich kind of cherry wood, the vintage counters that came with base game. And I love that little fruit bowl, by the way, that I've just made there with one of the new baskets from Debug Mode. So yeah, I went with those counters, and I have put a couple of the new cabinets up on the wall. I just love the tiles, the colours all tie in so well, and I think a lot of the laundry day stuff items go really well with this pack as well. I just found that was they were so easy to pair together, and I found myself using those items together a lot. So another thing I've done on all the fountains is add that little sun. I just sized him up there and added him into the fountain. I thought that was really cute as well. It just added a bit more detail there. And here's another example of the laundry day items being very similar. So that dining table, I know a lot of people have said it looks very similar, and yes, it does. But I'm fine with that. I mean, I'm just happy to have these round tables. So I thought this was perfect for the big family kitchen. I figured this is where the grandma would be making food all the time, and baking and kind of making everybody sit down and make sure they'd had a meal before they went out to work or to school. And I just love that vibrancy of this room, and it's definitely where my Sims do spend a lot of their time. So just moving out to the courtyard a little bit, I did skip a lot of the landscaping and that kind of thing just for time, but I'm showing you some of the pots I've used. A lot of the pots from base game and from other packs, if you just change the swatches to terracotta, they work really well, all kind of clustered together. And I've done that in a few different corners all around the house. So this is the pool area. It's kind of indoor / outdoor. It's sheltered from the sun, so it's perfect to cool down, but it's still got the arches coming through, and it's got half walls all the way around, so I love that. I love the new pool trim as well that you can see. It's kind of like a worn brick. And speaking of bricks, I completely forgot to mention the floor tiles. I absolutely love them in this pack. Yes, I do wish we got the wall tiles as floor tiles as well, but I'm still just happy to have some of that colour and that culture come through in the swatches. But the ones I've actually used a couple of different floor tiles, and they're almost the same tile, but one's more worn and one's more modern, and I've randomly dotted them around all over the floors, and they actually blend really well together. So when the grid is taken away, there's no kind of obvious lines, so that it does look very authentic and very kind of realistic in the way that some are worn where maybe the stairs are, where there's more use, and then some are less worn around the edges or where they've been replaced. And so I loved that. I love that they went together, and I feel like it's a detail that some people overlooked when they were reviewing the pack. I just love that little detail. So this is the outdoor dining space with the barbecue area, the chimney and the bar there, perfect for entertaining or for just a family evening together with some music. It looks especially nice at night as well. And we're just going to switch now to another outdoor area, which is this balcony up on the left side. I love this balcony. There's an inspiration picture that I used very kind of loosely. I knew that I wanted something Spanish and maybe Middle Eastern inspired, with these cushions everywhere and this new kind of shelter, what is that called, like an awning that came with the pack, which I kind of blended into the walls. I love that. I kind of thought all the walls are kind of this plaster, this thick plaster that's especially good for the heat, and they kind of fixed it into the fix the pillars into that. And I also added a bubble bar because I wanted it basically to be like a shisha pipe or something, the typical kind of activity to do on the balcony in the evenings, and I love that. And another fountain there, and just some plants dotted around. And also we've got the washing line, which when the Sims actually put their washing on there, it has this gorgeous animation when they drip. It drips right down the stairs, so it's great. It just looks so realistic. So while I was talking, we switched to the grandparents' bedroom, and it is definitely a more old-fashioned kind of bedroom. I thought this cats and dogs bed worked really well. It gave me really strong Havana kind of vibes, and I love the patchwork quilt. Maybe the grandma has sewn that herself, and each of their bedside tables shows a bit of their personality. So we've got Grandpa with his lamp there and his books, and Grandma with her old perfumes and that kind of thing. And they've got they've got their wardrobe there, they've got a vanity, and they've got their little bathroom, and that is all they need, and they're very content with what they have, and they'd rather put their energy into the rest of their family. And I kind of imagine that they would have taken on very traditional roles taken from their parents. So Grandpa Tiago, he's always out in the fields, in the farm. They sell their crops, and they've got avocado trees and things like that there. And the Grandma Malia, she would stay at home and do the baking, the cooking, take care of the house, and that kind of thing. I also imagine the family would have a strong bond together, and they would have very strong family values and traditions maybe. But then at the same time, we do have the young adult and the teen grandchildren who are maybe a little bit more modern in their thinking, and have to sneak out at night if they want to go to a party and that kind of thing, but they still very much love living in this big family, but it just makes for interesting gameplay to have some variation. So anyway, this is the lounge room, and it is just off the kitchen there, and it has been updated a little bit with these more modern, newer sofas, but the walls and the furniture where the TV is more of the traditional furniture that maybe the grandparents have decided they want to hang on to. They're not going to get rid of that, which is why it looks so mismatched. For example, using that very glamorous looking table, and then in contrast you've got this vampire pack lamp here, but I did think that the colours and the textures tied together, and it's kind of meant to look a little bit mismatched. So yeah, I love that. And the rugs in this pack, by the way, are worth everything, even if you don't like anything else. The rugs are insanely nice, and the pots and plants as well. They're just so beautiful, and again can be applied to a lot more different types of builds, not just this more traditional one. So this mirror that I'm using on the back wall as well, love it. It's the first mirror we've got that kind of leans like that. I've used it actually 2 or 3 times in this build, and yeah, it's gorgeous. I think as well, when I did come back to this room at the end, I did add a couple of bookcases just because I hadn't put any in the build anywhere, and I definitely felt like we needed some, so I did add some on the sides there just as a symmetrical kind of look on that back wall. So we are going to move on to the first bedroom now upstairs, and this is the teen girl's bedroom. So the teen in my sim family is actually the youngest, and her name is Havana, and this is her room. It's definitely more vibrant, more modern. Definitely a lot of the city living items worked so well in this bedroom, and I especially love that tapestry that I've just placed. It's gorgeous, and I wanted it to be very minimally furnished, but still showing the Sims' personality. So each room shows a bit about them, or more of their style anyway. But this room becomes my favourite bedroom once I switch the bed over to the white swatch. I think once I do that, it makes it look so much more youthful, and it just pops. It just makes everything around it pop. So I'll do that in a second, and there we are. I love it. So this room next door is the older sister. She's a young adult, and her name is Sophia. She's just started in the social media career, and she's probably going to be the sim that I will use to explore the jungle a little bit more, maybe with her sister. I think maybe the rest of the family have probably since living there, have maybe explored the jungle, and they know a lot of the secrets and the culture, and they've kind of kept the girls hidden from it, just because there was an accident with their father and he actually died. So they've kind of not experienced that side of their culture, and although they all have level 5 in the Salvadorian culture skill, I do think that the girls might want to go and explore for themselves and just see what's out there, and I think that's probably how I will end up exploring. So I'm really excited to do that. The map that I've had a look at so far for the new world is insanely beautiful. Even just the background alone, without even going and doing anything, is gorgeous. So I think they've done such a great job on that, and it's nice for a change to have something that's a little bit more on the fantasy side, rather than realistic play, as much as I do like realistic play. So another one of my favorite features of this whole pack was the bathroom items, which I can't say that I normally prefer bathroom items, but this just, they're gorgeous. I mean, you see these sinks and the tiles, they're absolutely gorgeous, and they go with a lot of different items from base game and other packs. Like I've said before, it goes together really well. Even if you just had base game, I think the items work really well. So for example, this bed is more traditional, but it's got the vibrant aqua color there, and I've used it in this bedroom for the mum. Now, her name is Miriam, and she is the mother of Havana and of Sophia, and her room is very basic as well. It's got this very nice calm blue color going throughout, and she has her own ensuite bathroom as well. Now, she is a very level-headed sim. She's very cheerful. She's always kind of making sure everybody's okay in the family, and she's always helping her mum cook and making sure her dad doesn't work too hard in the farm and that kind of thing. So I figured she's also a very strong female character in my family, and I think she gets that from her mum. So her bathroom is kind of continuing with this blue theme. I like these tiles. They're a more worn kind of look than the other ones, and the showers go really well with them. And if you don't want the shower to have the tiles, then just push it into the wall slightly with the Alt key and you've lost them, and then you've just got this beautiful modern clear shower. So this bathroom is for the uncle. Now, his bedroom I actually did off camera, but this is the bathroom for him. I do show his bedroom in the screenshot, so you will see that it's just very basic, but it is also still very green and jungly. But I just wanted to show the bathrooms. They're all different. They're all more modernly, more newly built, sorry, and the colors are just gorgeous. There's so many. That was my biggest issue with this pack. There was too much good stuff. There was too much stuff for me to look at. And I just spent so long looking at the build items alone. It was great. So we're about to go into the some of the outdoor furnishing now, and here's the little backup generator, maybe sitting on one of the balconies. I did kind of imagine this house as being more in a sort of third world area, kind of with that idea of making do with what they have. There's a lot of heat. They've kind of got to make the most of the water that they have, farm their own crops, be kind of self-sustainable, and I like that. I like that for a change, and this pack really supports that kind of gameplay. So here are the screenshots. So we've definitely got this strong Havana kind of Spanish vibe going on. A little yoga mat area up there. The open mezzanine level here, where the main entrance is. The whole house is built with the idea that it's in a very hot climate, if you hadn't guessed that already. So that's why I built it in Oasis Springs, where there's that warm lighting engine. So we've got a laundry room here that I built off camera, as well as a little underground cellar where they would perhaps keep dried food. Here's the grandparents' bedroom, looking very basic with their old bathroom that they refused to have updated. Havana's bedroom, which is my favourite, and Sophia's bedroom here as well. There were just so many screenshots to show, and so many of them that I actually didn't put in because it just made the video too long. Here's a shot from the mezzanine level looking straight down. This is Uncle Eli's bedroom and the mother's bedroom here, and then there's a couple of shots of the bathrooms as well. Now there's a few areas I didn't get to show, like this top level, which has a little archaeology table and an old sofa, and then there's this outdoor area where the grandpa would have all of his gardening equipment and the fountain and that kind of thing. A little pool area as well. And I will just leave you with a couple of really nice shots of the house at night. It is just gorgeous and lit up, and I can almost feel the heat. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again really soon. Bye!